So I want everybody to meet Derek. He's the CEO of Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. And he's in Canada begging us to come back. Whereas not too long ago, he was bumping shoulders with this guy. Yeah, I'm making it a personal goal of mine to make sure that the viewers do not forget that video. But no matter what kind of used car sales tactics that this guy's going to try, and no offense to used car salesmen, Canadians are not going to take the bait. And in this video, I have a report from CBC, and it shows that no matter what CEO or tourism official or government official tries to do to lure us back, they're just wasting their time. And to be honest, it just makes them look a little bit more pathetic every time they try. I mean, my image of this guy goes lower and lower every time I see him. But there's another country where the United States and their image is really starting to tank, and that's the UK. I know I have a lot of British viewers, so this video is going to be for you. Also, I have a report from thetravel.com, and even though it's costing us more to travel because of these stupid fuel prices, Canadians are still continuing to travel, and we're going to spend more, just to avoid the United States. So we're going to talk about all of this in this video. And towards the end, I do have a message for the viewers, and a thank you for everybody that has supported my channel, because Disrupt SQ has been a supporter of my channel, as well as the owner of the Tourism Hell subreddit, which has a lot of good information that I use for my channel as well. He reminded me that it's actually been my 1-year anniversary, so stick around for that towards the end, and I'm going to chat a little bit about that. Alright, let's get started with the first report from CBC, which starts off with my favorite CEO from Las Vegas.
Hi, great to see you.
Las Vegas tourism officials are traveling across Canada, meeting with local industry reps to spread this message.
We're missing our Canadian best friends. We miss you and we want you to come back to Las Vegas.
Let me translate that for everybody. We miss you and we want you to come back and spend your money. That sounds about right, right?
To all Canadian residents, we're going at par.
As an incentive, 3 downtown Las Vegas resorts are offering Canadians at-par deals for accommodation, drinks, and gambling.
No exchange rate, all the fun.
But it may take more than pleas and deals to convince some Canadians to return. March marked the 14th straight month of steep declines. Canadian return trips from the U.S. plummeted 32% that month compared to March 2024, when the U.S. travel boycott had yet to take hold.
You know, I think we do have to take this time to actually celebrate. Because 1 year ago, when I started this channel, I really didn't think the boycott would stick. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, here was my thought process last year when I started the channel. I would create videos for about a month or two, non-stop. The summer season would come up, and I actually expected the summer season to rebound. But it didn't. And I kept going. I kept making videos. And the only reason I could keep making them is because these numbers kept going up. Or down. No, up. Up in terms of the percentages of us not going. And the second time I was wrong was this year, because I actually thought 2026 would actually plateau or bottom out. Man, what's wrong with me? I'm getting things mixed up today. But anyways, the third thing that I was wrong at is that I never thought we would hit 50%. And my home province of British Columbia pleasantly surprised me. Shout out to all my fellow British Columbians back home. But this number that we're seeing right now, March 32.3%, which is overall Canadian return trips to the US, has the ability to go higher. So my question to everybody is, 1 year from now, what percentage do you think this will be at? I'm going to guess closer to 40? That's just my guess. Let me know in the comments below.
It's just a scary place that the U.S. is becoming right now.
Artist Bruce Newman used to travel often to the U.S. to paint landscapes. But like many others, he joined the boycott early last year.
67%, that's tariff.
After President Donald Trump started a trade war and suggested Canada become the 51st state.
Definitely, while Trump's in office, we're not interested in going to the States at all.
And I think a lot of us are not interested, even when the orange guy is gone as well. I mean, there's been too much damage done. I mean, we've seen too much. And we've heard too much. And we've seen the true colors of some of those on the right. And to be fair and quite frank, some of those on the left as well. It does kind of sadden me a bit, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not going to be able to visit my friends anymore. And I'm not going to be able to play at Pebble Beach, which was on my bucket list. But the sadness of this will disappear quite quickly when I head to Australia's Gold Coast with my friends for a golf trip. My point is that we're making alternative plans already. And anything I used to miss in the United States, except for my friends and family, is really starting to fade now.
Many boycotters are still traveling, they're just going elsewhere. Last year, 25% fewer Canadians traveled to the U.S., but overseas trips rose by 9%, and domestic tourism spending increased by 2.5%.
We're seeing more trips to domestic and other international destinations. So the story here is really a rebalancing in where Canadians are choosing to travel.
So my question for the audience, where are you choosing to travel this year? And where would you have gone in the United States if, like, shit didn't hit the fan? Let everybody know in the comments below. I mean, hey, you might give some people some ideas on where to go.
Newman is considering a trip to Gaspé, Quebec in the fall to paint landscapes.
I miss the freedom of going to the United States to paint, but there's plenty to paint here.
There's another looming problem for the U.S. tourism industry. The war in Iran is driving up jet fuel prices. The result? Higher airfares, which could mean even more Canadians choosing to stay home.
Oh yeah, there's that too. And we all know who to blame on that one. I mean, every day that goes by, there's always going to be something else that the US administration is going to screw up for the world. And I see so many different reports from like tourism officials or government officials saying that they have to improve their reputation. Well, in order to start that, you got to get rid of all of these people, like all of them. But getting rid of all these people in this photo right now is not going to solve the problem, and it probably will not get me back to the United States. It's like that video I showed a while ago where that woman basically gave the analogy of the paper, and when she crumpled it, there's all the creases. And when she tries to flatten the paper and, everyone thinks everything's fine now, the creases still show. And those creases will show up in the United States for pretty much the rest of my life. Now, I'm not afraid to admit, I'm a bit of a late bloomer, because I know many people watching right now have had a bit of a disdain for the United States for years, maybe even decades or generations. But this next video I'm going to show you shows that Britain have fallen out of love with America for a very long time, and things are just getting worse.
Britons have been falling out of love with America for a long time. You see the first dip right after the start of the Iraq War. Before that, sort of favourability of America is almost at an all-time high. Then Iraq happens and you see a really steep decline, which never really recovers. And then you have the two Trump administrations that you see again, particularly the latest one. Britons in particular seem to be very irked about the war in Iran, as well as actually the seizing of President Maduro. You see a very steep decline since January this year.
Now, I know the UK and Europe had really started getting vocal, pretty much when the orange guy started to threaten Greenland, at least in the media. But I know the GTL viewers from Europe were loud way before that, because I saw your comments in my video. And to be honest, it was actually really heartwarming to see support globally for Canada.
In how Britain see America, more than half think it's a negative force now.
Do you think this fraying is, particularly the result of this presidency?
I think that there is some degree of fraying that was going to happen under, or not fraying even, but just a loosening that would have happened under any president. It is the case that America needs Britain much less than Britain needs America. I don't think that that's a controversial fact. I think there is something that is important stylistically, though, about the way that this president talks about Britain.
Stylistically? I mean, let's just say how it is. The orange idiot talks about every other country around the world like we gotta suck up to them, and that we need them, and that we're nothing without the United States. And the shitty thing is that a lot of the citizens on the right feel this as well. The US exceptionalism dial has been turned to the max. I kinda wish the media would just say it how it is. Kinda like Wab Canoe a few days ago, where he brought up the Epstein files and the CTV guy was just like a deer in the headlights. Manitoba, you got a great premier for your province.
And then what that does politically for the person who's in office, of course, right now, Keir Starmer, but for any subsequent prime minister, right? Because if rhetorically America is in the position of consistently putting Britain down, then the mood politically in Britain is going to be that the prime minister has to balance domestic politics, which is increasingly less favorable America, with the strategic need to kiss up to America. And that's very difficult. And I think that then you get something that becomes more and more corrosive over time, where the prime minister in that situation can't quite achieve both the goals of maintaining domestic popularity while also serving this broader strategic relationship. And I think that is quite insidious.
Now, she's talking specifically from a Britain point of view, but it does apply to any country that the orange guy is insulting right now, which is quite a bit of countries. But the reason why I wanted to show this is to really show our fellow Canadians that we're not alone when it comes to the sentiment towards the United States. And I'll be honest, I was actually surprised about this one with Britain. I didn't think that red line would be that low. Ideally, it would be best if the rest of the world just cut off the United States, but it's not as easy as that. And I'm no expert on how to do this. The only thing I can think of that us everyday citizens can do is continue the boycott. Now, this next article is from thetravel.com, and it's titled, Canadians Continue to Avoid US Travel, Despite Paying 56% More to Vacation at Home. Now, I'm not going to read the whole article out, but there's a few points I do want to point out to everybody. But if you want to read the whole article, the link will be in the description below. The first point I wanted to read out is about domestic flights and the increase in price. And we know why the prices are increases, because of this idiot. But before even the domestic flight prices increased, it was actually cheaper for us to fly to the United States than it would be like cross Canada. So yeah, it's going to cost us more now. Starting on the article, travel search engine Kayak recently launched a new airfare trends dashboard, providing insights into flight prices fluctuations in Canada. According to this data, domestic fares have surged significantly since March 2026. For instance, during the third week of March 2025, the average price of a domestic ticket was $294, while the same period in 2026, fare rose to $410, a 36% increase. Some cities, like Vancouver, saw even bigger jumps. In the second week of April, flights to the city rose by 56% from $276 in 2025 to $431 in 2026. Now here's the chart I wanted to show everybody. It's the average flight price increases. Second week of April 2026 versus 2025. Calgary, 24%. Edmonton, 37%. Halifax, 6.5%. Kelowna, 34%. Montreal, 29%. Ottawa, 17%. Toronto, 25%. Vancouver, 56%. What the hell? And Winnipeg, 17%. Now I look at it this way, like these increases, obviously we don't like it. And if you're trying to avoid these increases, what are your other options? Either fly internationally or to the United States. But despite the increase in domestic flight prices, Canadians are still booking locally, and it's expected that Canada is going to have another banner year. Back to the article. The next section is titled, The Stay in Canada Trend is Still Strong. A report published by the Canadian Tourism Data Collective shows how reshore tourism contributed $1.5 billion to the Canadian economy in 2025. This is now estimated to reach $4.4 billion between 2025 and 2027. Results from a ledger report released in March 2026 also confirmed a surge in domestic travel in the country. According to it, 75% of Canadians who decided to avoid the US opted for a trip within Canada instead. In addition, only 14% of respondents said they were planning to visit US for a spring leisure trip this year, down from 21% in 2025. In contrast, 67% saying they were planning a domestic trip during this period, up 49% in 2025. According to Andrew Enns, Executive Vice President of Ledger Central Canada, the Stay in Canada trend is still strong. So despite the domestic flight price increasing, I don't think we have anything to worry about, to be honest. But for those worried about the flight prices, my guess is that some are going to be doing a lot of road trips. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit in this article and talk about south of the border. Americans are also advised to highlight welcoming communities and positive visitor experiences while focusing marketing efforts on younger Canadians and men, as these groups are more open to travel to the US than others. Lastly, operators should reignite inspiration and curiosity for the US destinations and highlight experiences that feel uniquely American. The report states that storytelling that highlights culture, I don't care about your culture, entertainment, don't really care about your entertainment, food scenes, we got good food in Vancouver and Canada, and memorable experiences can help reframe the US from exciting travel options rather than one that Canadians are moving away from. While it remains unclear whether Canadians will continue to avoid the US travel through 2026, adopting these simple strategies may help American tour operators increase their chances of attracting more visitors in the coming months. Well, as a Canadian, I can answer one part. I think it'll continue through 2026. And in fact, I'm pretty positive about it. And the second thing, the storytelling that highlights culture, I don't think that's going to fly with many Canadians. But then again, this is just my opinion. So long story short, airfare is going to be higher no matter where you want to go, like whether it's domestic, international, or, even the United States. But I have a feeling Canadians will still pay this just to avoid the United States. To close off this video, I would like to thank Pierre Yves for sending this photo from L'Anse Saint-Jean on his sailboat. I couldn't think of anywhere else to put the co-host, so I thought this was a pretty creative spot. And I think I'm going through a phase right now where I do want to see water. But I will start to diversify the photos that I'm getting, although a lot of the photos I'm getting are actually of water. But thanks again, Pierre, for sending this over to me. Now, if you're wondering where the co-host has been, I actually don't know. I mean, the door's wide open, and she's probably just taking a nap somewhere. So I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of you. But to close off this video, I do want to thank Disrupt SQ for posting this on my subreddit. And like I said earlier, I didn't actually think this channel would take off. I mean, when I created the channel a year ago, I thought I would try it for a couple months, see if it works, and if it didn't, I would just end it. But a lot has happened in the last year. I mean, not just in the boycott and the news, but I met a lot of great people through the channel. I met other content creators like Josh from The Enemy From Within, Todd Maffin, and the Bill Kelly podcast, and others. Some I talk to on a regular basis, some just like disappeared and ghosted me. But hey, that's content creation, I guess. But the biggest thing I never thought would come out of this channel was actually being mentioned in the House of Commons. If you haven't seen that video yet from Jessica Fancy, let me show you.
I'm rising today to present a petition in both official languages on behalf of not only my constituents but all Canadians. This petition calls upon the government to protect Canadian media from undue foreign interference and influence by initiating a formal review of foreign media ownership, reducing stricter rules to prevent foreign entities from holding and controlling interests in Canadian media, and for requiring publicly reporting and disclosure for who owns foreign ownership stakeholders in the Canadian media. This petition has garnered over 17,000 signatures in a short period of time. I would also like to thank Guard the Leaf for their diligence in this petition. Thank you.
So I guess you can say this is one of the highlights I've had in my first year of my channel. But it's not the biggest one, because I don't like the spotlight. I actually hate it. You can ask my wife. I hate social gatherings and I hate speaking, like public speaking. But I think the biggest highlight for my channel has been the community that has been created. Not just in Canada, but I have people emailing me from all over the world. Like all over Europe, South Africa, Asia, South America, Australia, New Zealand, pretty much everywhere. But one of the most surprising and memorable emails that I received was actually from someone from Greenland. Because they mentioned in their email that I actually made the effort to think about Greenland and actually created a video to support them. I didn't think anything of that video. I mean, it's just me supporting an ally. But it actually made me realize that my monotone voice and my videos that I make actually mean a lot to people. I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to certain things, and I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And even though at this moment I might not be living in Canada, it doesn't make me less Canadian. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to defend my country, no matter where I am. In fact, moving away actually made me appreciate Canada more. You will not know this feeling I have unless you left Canada for an extended amount of time. And I know every Canadian living abroad right now knows exactly what I'm talking about. I know I'm going to continue to have my haters. The ones that say that you moved away from Canada and you're not a real Canadian or you're a part-time Canadian. Well, it's a typical response from a short-sighted, narrow-minded, and simple-minded Canadian. And I hope one day you'll actually broaden your experience. But I do know I have a lot more supporters than haters. And I do appreciate everybody shutting them up in the comments. To close this video off, I want to thank all my viewers, subscribers, and supporters of my channel for helping me get this far. Okay, maybe me is not the right word. Helping the channel get this far. Because a lot of the videos and articles and anything that I show actually comes from you. So thank you, the viewers, for helping this channel get to where it is now. And I'm looking forward to see what the channel grows into in another year. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international perspective, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.